Stop. Put the scissors down. If you have these fleshy tags on your neck, cutting them off is the most dangerous mistake you can make. You are literally cutting the wire to a fire alarm. These aren't just skin issues. They are the first biological warning sign of a silent disease that is already destroying your nerves. It starts with a morning ritual you have grown to dread. You are standing in front of the bathroom mirror, tilting your chin up to catch the light, and your finger traces that familiar uneven terrain along your neckline. It isn't smooth anymore. Instead, you feel it, that tiny, soft, rubbery stalk of skin hanging just loosely enough to catch on your collar. Maybe you first noticed it when your favorite gold chain snagged on it, sending a sharp, pinching jolt of pain that made you wince. Or perhaps it was that quiet humiliation at a family dinner when a grandchild pointed a confused finger and asked, "Grandma, what is that on your neck?" It makes you feel messy, unclean. You find yourself buttoning your blouses higher or wrapping scarves a little tighter, trying to hide these flesh-colored weeds that seem to be sprouting from your body without permission. I know the temptation you are fighting right now. You look at it dangling there by a thin thread, and you think, I could just snip this off. You might have even tried it, sterilizing a pair of nail scissors, gritting your teeth against the sting, and cutting it away. You bandaged it up, felt a wave of relief, and thought the battle was won. But a few months later, you felt that familiar bump return, perhaps even larger than before. Please, put the scissors down. You are treating this like a cosmetic nuisance, but that is a dangerous mistake. That skin tag is not an error, it is a message. Imagine driving down the highway and seeing your check engine light scream red. Would you smash the dashboard with a hammer just to make the light stop? Of course not. That light isn't the problem, it is the messenger. By cutting off these tags, you are essentially cutting the wire to a fire alarm while your house is slowly catching fire. You aren't just getting older, your body is screaming for help, and if we don't open the hood right now to see what is burning, the damage will spread far beyond your skin. Most people walk into their doctor's office, get a standard blood panel, and breathe a sigh of relief when they hear your fasting glucose is normal. They assume they are safe, but that test is dangerously incomplete. You see, diabetes is not just a sugar problem, it is an insulin problem. And for a full decade before your blood sugar ever spikes, your insulin levels can be skyrocketing, silently filling your veins with a potent, invisible chemical. We tend to think of insulin as a polite delivery man who simply escorts sugar into your cells. But biologically, insulin is an anabolic hormone. In plain English, that means its primary command is to make things grow. Think of it as the biological equivalent of industrial-strength Miracle-Gro. When your metabolism is healthy, you release just enough to keep the lawn green. But right now, your body is resistant, which means your pancreas is panicking. It is flooding your system with gallons of this hormonal fertilizer every single hour. This flood triggers a secondary molecule called IGF-1, or insulin-like growth factor. This compound screams at your cells to reproduce. Unfortunately, the skin cells on your neck, your keratinocytes, are incredibly sensitive to this command. In the presence of all that fertilizer, they go into a chaotic feeding frenzy. They overmultiply. Instead of shedding off invisible dust, they stack up, layer upon layer, building that rubbery, mushroom-like stalk you feel in the shower. Let me be brutally honest with you. That skin tag is technically a benign tumor. It is a physical manifestation of a body drowning in growth hormone. If you have skin tags, you have insulin resistance, period. The mechanism is undeniable. But you might be wondering, if this is a problem with your blood, why are these growths clustering specifically in the dark, sweaty folds of your neck and armpits? The answer is wetter, grosser, and more mechanical than you might expect. You have likely heard the standard explanation. It's just friction. They tell you that your collar rubs against your neck, or your arm rubs against your side, and the skin gets irritated and grows a tag. But let's apply a little common sense. Your heels endure massive friction inside your shoes all day long. The palms of a construction worker endure grit and grinding for years, yet we never see skin tags on heels or palms. Why? Because friction isn't the cause, it is merely the crime scene. The real biological drama happens in the dark, warm folds of your neck and armpits because these are high-traffic zones for cell turnover. Imagine your skin cells are cars on a highway. In a healthy body, the cars drive smoothly to the end of the road and exit, shedding off as invisible dust. But high insulin acts like a broken traffic light that is stuck on green. It forces new cells to speed onto the highway faster than the old ones can exit. The result is a biological pileup. The cells crash into each other in these tight crevices and have nowhere to go but out. They stack up layer by layer, forming a mushroom-like shape. But this isn't just a pile of dead callus. This structure, known as a peduncle, is frighteningly alive. Through a process called angiogenesis, the tag actually sprouts its own central blood vessel, a tiny, dedicated lifeline to steal nutrients from your blood. This is why, if you have ever accidentally nicked one while shaving, it bled with shocking intensity. It is living, parasitic tissue feeding off your energy. You may have also noticed a dark, velvety texture on the skin nearby, a shadow that looks like dirt but refuses to wash off no matter how hard you scrub. This is called acanthosis nigricans, and it is the physical stain of insulin saturation. The evidence is literally written on your neck. So if the root cause is this obvious, why did your dermatologist just charge you to freeze it off without ever asking what you ate for breakfast? Think back to your last appointment. You likely waited 40 minutes in a cold lobby for a visit that lasted less than 5. The dermatologist walked in, barely made eye contact, and immediately reached for the liquid nitrogen canister or the scalpel. You felt the sharp, freezing burn, smelled the antiseptic, and were sent to the front desk to pay a bill that likely cost you hundreds of dollars. But in that whirlwind of transaction, did you notice what was missing? Not once did that doctor stop, look you in the eye, and ask, "So, what did you eat for breakfast this morning?" It is infuriating, isn't it? You feel dismissed because you were dismissed. This is the tragic flaw of modern specialized medicine. Your dermatologist is a highly trained technician skilled in the business of cut, burn, and freeze. But treating a skin tag with a scalpel is exactly like gardening with a pair of scissors. You can chop the head off the dandelion, and for a week your lawn looks pristine. But because you ignored the root system spreading deep beneath the soil, that weed is guaranteed to grow back, thicker and more stubborn than before. By focusing only on the surface, the medical industry is failing you. They are allowing you to walk blindly toward a life-altering diagnosis. The science is terrifyingly clear. Studies now show that over 70% of patients with multiple skin tags have undiagnosed metabolic syndrome. Yet you were sent home with a Band-Aid instead of a blood test. Let me be the one to tell you the hard truth they didn't. You don't have a skin problem, you have a sugar handling problem. And here is the cruelest of all ironies. You might be sitting there thinking, "But Dr. Sterling, I eat healthy. I buy whole grains and fruit." I believe you, but I have some devastating news about that healthy mid-morning snack you love and how it's secretly keeping your body in a state of crisis. We need to have a difficult conversation about your pantry. You are likely sitting there feeling frustrated, thinking, "But Dr. Arthur Sterling, I follow the rules. I eat my heart-healthy oatmeal, I snack on fruit, and I buy the low-fat yogurt. I believe you. In fact, your discipline is impressive. But tragically, the very advice you were given to keep your metabolism moving is the fuel source for the growths on your neck. The problem isn't just what you are eating, it is how often you are eating. We call this grazing. Imagine your insulin levels are a roller coaster. In a healthy body, you eat a meal, the car goes up the hill, and then it coasts all the way down to the bottom for hours. That flat line at the bottom is where healing happens. But when you eat breakfast, then have a mid-morning banana, then lunch, then a handful of healthy nuts, and then dinner, that roller coaster car never comes down. You are forcing your pancreas to pump out insulin every 2 hours. You are literally marinating your cells in growth hormone 24 hours a day. That low-fat fruit yogurt you eat at 10 a.m.? It is chemically stripping the fat out and replacing it with sugar, sending your insulin sky high. That bowl of oatmeal? In a body that is already resistant, it hits your blood with the same explosive force as a candy bar. Your body is stuck in an always-on mode. Because insulin is also the hormone that locks fat into your cells, this is why you can't lose that stubborn tire around your waist, no matter how little you eat. The skin tags are just the visible flags of a body under siege. But if this hormonal fertilizer is powerful enough to sprout new skin on your neck, I have some terrifying news about what it is making grow silently deep inside your organs. If the only consequence of this condition was a bumpy neck, we could simply buy a high-collar shirt and move on. But your skin is merely the wrapper of the package. If your blood is so saturated with hormonal growth fertilizer that it is forcing skin cells to mutate and stack up on the outside, I need you to pause and ask yourself a terrifying question. What is it making grow on the inside? The medical literature has established a chilling correlation. Skin tags on the outside often signal polyps on the inside, specifically colon polyps. Both are driven by the same runaway growth command. High insulin creates dense breast tissue and feeds precancerous cells throughout the body. You are not just fighting a cosmetic flaw, you are fighting a systemic, pro-tumor environment. But let's look past the big C to the immediate, inevitable future of untreated insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes. This isn't just about managing pills. It starts with the pins and needles stinging your toes at night, the first sign of peripheral neuropathy. Then the vision blurs. Suddenly, you aren't the driver anymore. You are the passenger. You aren't the caretaker. You are the burden. You worked 40 years for your retirement. Ask yourself, do you want to spend those golden years traveling the world or tethered to a dialysis machine 3 days a week? Do you want to walk your grandchild to the park or have them push you in a wheelchair because you have lost sensation in your feet? Your skin tag is the canary in the coal mine. It is a polite, quiet knock at the door warning you of danger. But if you ignore the knock, the heart attack is the SWAT team kicking the door in. You must answer now. But don't run to the pharmacy just yet. The hero you need isn't a prescription. It is a forgotten yellow root that rivals the strongest drugs on Earth. I know you secretly wish there was a prescription pad that could fix this without the side effects. Remarkably, nature has provided exactly that. It is a bright yellow compound called berberine, and in the functional medical community, we whisper about it as nature's metformin. When you take 500 milligrams of this bitter yellow powder before your meal, it travels deep into your cells and flips a metabolic master switch called AMPK. Think of AMPK as the dormant furnace in the basement of your cells. Berberine kicks that furnace door open and commands your body to burn sugar for heat immediately. Because the sugar is incinerated, your pancreas can finally relax and your insulin levels plummet. It is potent, so powerful that you must treat it with the same respect you would a drug. But your pharmacy is not the only place to look. Your kitchen pantry holds a weapon too. I want you to take 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar in a tall glass of water before your dinner. The acetic acid inside acts like a biological brake pedal. It slows down the rate at which your stomach empties, meaning the sugar from your potatoes or rice trickles into your blood instead of flooding it like a tidal wave. Pair these with chromium picolinate, a mineral that acts like a hearing aid for your cells, making them sensitive to insulin again, so your body doesn't need to scream so loud. Understand this distinction. These remedies do not burn the skin tag off from the outside. They do something far more effective. They cut the fuel line. They turn off the Miracle-Gro supply so the tag naturally withers and dies on the vine. But owning the right supplements is useless if you use them with the wrong schedule. To truly starve these growths, we must change not just what you eat, but the clock you eat by. I know the feeling of staring at a diet book and feeling completely overwhelmed. Count the calories, weigh the protein, measure the macros. It is exhausting. So I want you to throw the calculator away. I am going to give you one simple rule that is more powerful than any diet pill. It is not just about what you eat, but when you eat. We call this time-restricted eating, or the 16-8 method. Do not let the numbers scare you. The protocol is incredibly simple. You finish your dinner by 8 p.m., and you do not eat a single calorie until 12 p.m. the next day. You're simply giving your poor, overworked pancreas a 16-hour vacation every single night. Why is this non-negotiable? Because when you stop eating for 16 hours, your insulin finally drops to 0. The Miracle-Gro supply is officially cut off. But then a magical biological process begins called autophagy. In Latin, this literally translates to self-eating. Think of autophagy like a microscopic game of Pac-Man released into your bloodstream. When you are fasting, your body realizes no new food is coming in, so it gets thrifty. It starts looking around for old, damaged, or useless proteins to recycle for energy. It hunts for debris. And what does it find on your neck? That useless skin tag. By fasting, we are literally commanding your body to scavenge that tag and eat it for lunch. To make this work, you must obey the golden rule. Stop snacking. No almonds in the car. No grapes while watching TV. 2 or 3 distinct meals a day, period. Every time you snack, you spike insulin and send a Pac-Man cleaning crew home. Be patient with your body. It took years to grow these. Give your system 3 to 6 months to reclaim them. You will notice them drying up, shrinking, and eventually falling off without a scar. But once they're gone, how do we make sure they stay gone forever? We need to find your personal carb threshold and make a delicious swap that protects your brain. You have done the hard work. The fasting is kicking in, the berberine is working, and the tags are finally shrinking. But I know the nagging fear that is likely keeping you up at night. Will they just come back the moment I look at a bagel? The honest answer is yes, unless we find your personal carb threshold. To secure a permanent set-it-and-forget-it lifestyle, we must fundamentally shift how you view your plate. I want you to stop using the word diet. Diets feel temporary. They imply deprivation and punishment. Instead, I want you to look at your grocery list as hormone therapy. Your daily goal is simple. Keep the insulin switch turned off for as long as possible. Here is the mechanics of it. Carbohydrates are the heavy finger that jams the insulin button down. Healthy fats are the only food group that leaves the button untouched. When you eat a creamy avocado, a handful of raw walnuts, or a pasture-raised egg, your insulin response is virtually 0. You're full, you're nourished, but your fat storage hormone remains asleep. So, we make the swap. Instead of a plate of pasta that instantly converts into a tidal wave of sugar, try zucchini noodles drenched in rich garlic olive oil. Instead of dry toast, have a 3-egg omelet. You aren't losing flavor, you are gaining metabolic peace. The payoff extends far beyond a smooth neck. By lowering your glycemic load, you are shielding your most precious asset, your mind. We now refer to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes, which is simply insulin resistance of the brain. By fixing your food, you are clearing the mental fog, sharpening your memory, and finally shedding that stubborn weight. You are training your body to stop fermenting in sugar. You are becoming unsweet. And as you reclaim your internal chemistry, there is one final emotional step we must take to seal this bond. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and picture a morning 6 months from today. You step out of the shower, the mirror steams up and you wipe it clear. You tilt your chin up and your hand instinctively goes to your neck. But this time, your fingers do not find that rubbery, uneven stumbling block. They glide over skin that is soft, smooth, and resilient. You fasten your favorite gold chain, and for the first time in years, the cool metal lies perfectly flat against your collarbone, with nothing to snag, catch, or hide. This victory is about so much more than vanity. That smooth skin is a white flag of surrender from your metabolism. It is physical proof that you have tamed the insulin beast. It means the silent alarm bells of diabetes have finally stopped ringing, and you have stepped back from the cliff edge of chronic disease. You haven't just cleared your skin, you have reclaimed your future, your independence, and your peace of mind. So, I have a request. When this video ends, I want you to go to the nearest mirror and perform a neck check. If you see or feel that familiar tag, make a promise to yourself right now. Do not reach for the scissors. Do not call the dermatologist to have it burned. Reach for the apple cider vinegar. Commit to the fasting window. Treat the fire, not the smoke. And remember, you are not doing this in isolation. You are part of a massive silent army fighting for their longevity. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Have you had skin tags removed by a doctor only to watch them grow back months later? Tell me your story. Your experience could be the warning that saves someone else from the same mistake. Please click that subscribe button to join our Insulin Smart community, because we refuse to accept getting old as a diagnosis. I'm Dr. Arthur Sterling. Here's to your health.